You're right, lads, this is the Geordie Jedi doing my next football season review. Crystal Palace have had a pretty good season, finishing 11th, and considering the problems they've had, 11th is brilliant. And also they're essentially the best of the rest, given the way the relegation fight took place this season. You know, for so long, 11th place could technically go down. It was a brilliant end to relegation. Overall, Crystal Palace won it completely. So they should have no problems. They don't need a change manager. They do need to strengthen a bit, but overall there's not much they can do that won't make them 11th next season. Problem they had really was the striker that scored 10 plus goals. Their top goal scorer was Dwight Gale, who only scored 8. 8 goals is alright, especially for someone as young as Dwight Gale. But they need at least a 10 plus goals man. I mean, in fairness, they did have a couple of other players. Punchin scored 7, Shamak scored 6. So they're on the right track. Maybe they've had a bit of bad luck season. Maybe Dwight Gale could have got 10 plus goals. You know, obviously numbers change per season, but they need to bring in preferably a Premier League, someone with Premier League experience striker, but they need to bring in a 10 plus striker. Now the problem is that there's not many really options to choose. With people with strikers with Premier League experience are either too old to be good to bring in, or they're obviously far too costly to bring in. There's also the point. So for me, they'd have to look into development people. You know, they need someone who's likely to score 10 plus goals, but they need someone who's going to be cheap with Premier League experience, and the problem is there isn't many. They also need them to be relatively young, because they're going to need a player who's going to stick around a couple of years. So for me, next season, what they really need to do is probably loan someone in. Loan Borini in from Liverpool, because I'm assuming he still won't be playing first team football, especially if Sturridge and Suarez stay. So bring in Borini, he'd be perfect. He'd score 10 plus goals for you. He'd fit into your team dynamic. He'd fit into the style of play. He'd be a brilliant player for you. I mean, you maybe only get him 1 year. I mean, of course, even better, buy Borini. He's still young. You'd still get a lot of time out of him. You'd get 10 plus goals, I'd say. Crystal Palace fans, ask for Borini. Ask for Asaidi as well. Asaidi's pretty good. He won't get you 10 plus goals, but he'll certainly help people such as Shamak and Dwight Gale get 10 plus goals. So, right, the serious problem they've had for me is the matches when they should win. Again, like a lot of other clubs, you know, and Crystal Palace haven't really beaten, you know, Liverpool. Well, they drew against Liverpool, but you know, they haven't beaten the big teams and lost against the teams they should beat. They need to start, say, beating West Brom for, you know, regularly. They need to start beating Hull regularly, Sunderland regularly. You know, this is how you get to a 10 plus team to getting into the top half. You need to start winning the games you should win, and while still putting in decent performances against the big teams. So that's what you should get done. Personally, Tony Pulis as a manager, you can't really go wrong right now. You know, there's not many people who you could bring in who are better than Tony Pulis. And if you changed manager, it'd have to be for some young gun like Solskjaer. You know, bring in someone who's young, and it's a risk. So you may finish 11th, which is really good, but you're still not in a position to take those kind of risks to bring in new young managers to see how they do. Right, that's the end of it. It's been the Geordie Jedi. Leave a like if you want, subscribe if you want. May the force be with you.